Hey guys, what's up? Jin here with another episode of the Otakuology podcast. And today, we're not adventuring in a dungeon. We're not
Nope.
worried about our cyberware.
Nope.
We are donning our Ultraman suits with pride, and we're going to take care of this baby kaiju.
We're gonna grow big because we're gonna be kaiju daddies.
Could you imagine us being kaiju daddies?
Oh man.
What kind of
I
kaiju would we get?
I kind of felt for Ken in this movie being a dad,
No shit.
to be honest.
No shit. I really think that was probably one of the best parts about this was that it was very relatable to being a dad
Which we'll
because
talk about that later.
I was like I know what he's going through.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later when we get into it and stuff.
Yeah. So we start out our movie with and this is called Ultraman Rising for anybody that doesn't know.
Came out in 2024.
It came out in 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
You said that, and for whatever reason, my brain clicked that it came out in like 2004, and I was like, "Wait, how are we just now getting this?"
I know.
Jesus,
It took a while.
it took forever to get through customs. Okay,
Yeah.
um, Jesus, how did we get the Ultraman manga before this? Then, like,
I
what
don't
the
know.
heck? Uh, but we start out our movie Ultraman Rising with our main character Kinji Sato as a little boy, and it's for his dad coming home,
Yeah.
and they're kind of like playing almost like Ultraman monsters and stuff.
And yeah, they're making dinner and stuff and
Yep,
watching baseball.
yep. And his mom is watching baseball. Her favorite team is the Giants.
Yes.
And in kind of all of this stuff happening, we have a kaiju attack that happens, which this is where we find out that Kenji's dad, which you remember dad's name?
I think it was just Mr. Sato.
Okay. So
But
Ultra
I
Daddy.
don't remember if he actually has
Yeah.
a name.
So Ultra Daddy.
Ultra Daddy, yeah.
I think it was just Professor Sato.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, so Ultra Daddy basically goes out and flies and tries to handle this monster kaiju.
So I'm looking at the voice actor character listings.
Yeah.
It says Professor Sato / Ultra Dad.
Ha! See, look, we weren't that far off
We
mark.
weren't that far off.
Yeah. So there's a kaiju that's kind of attacking the city, like right outside, kind of their house, and it ends up pushing
Ultra Dad.
Ultra Dad kind of into the house, hitting the building, and he ends up basically like getting hurt and protecting the family. We don't kind of get a lot of that though. Like it kind of gives it to us in pieces. So you really
Yeah.
think that more of the house like stuff gets screwed up than it is. Unless you kind of allude to it, but we jump to the future.
The story very much like drip feeds you about like what happened in the past and what reasons like Kenji has for like not talking to Ultra Dad and stuff, you know.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of it, like the first half of that, is like from just Kenji's standpoint
Because I'm
because
gonna be yeah.
we don't go back and look at that until after him and his dad kind of are forced to reunite,
Yeah.
and then we kind of find out like dad's point of view, like what actually happened.
Yeah, and to be honest, like so like correct me if I'm wrong.
Kenji's got some trauma.
Kenji's got some daddy issues, but was Kenji's mom also an ultra person?
Not that we know of.
Because I don't know if she was like part of like the Kaiju Defense Force or if she was part of like I don't know, part of the Ultra people, Ultramans. You know, like that very much when we get into it later, but like very much threw me for a loop because she's not in this movie a lot.
Yeah. All right, so
She's
I looked at one thing because we got prehistory on Ultraman Rising before that. So she was actually a scientist dedicated to monster research,
okay. Okay, well that makes sense then.
which kind of makes sense. I kind of wonder if there was another movie that we were supposed to watch before this,
I
but
don't think so. I think this is very much a standalone movie.
because I'm like, why didn't you give us enough like extra information on part of this? Why am I having to get the information off the Wikipedia?
Maybe
Okay,
we were supposed to read between the lines.
hey, listen, those lines are non-existent. Okay,
Okay, okay.
what am I reading? Like a sheet of music to tell me like what it is? I've never learned that, so I need it in
Yeah.
English next time. Um,
But the movie picks up, is it 20 years later?
yeah, I believe it's 20 years later.
20 years later, Kenji Sato comes back. I guess he was in America playing baseball. He comes back and he basically is like a star player on the Giants. He's like a starting player, basically.
Yeah,
He's like the Babe Ruth or like the Ken Griffey Jr. of their or whatever, Mark McGuire or whatever we would call him.
yeah.
Sammy Sosa,
Sammy Salsa.
Jeff Bagwell, Nolan Ryan.
I don't know all these people.
They're very famous baseball players.
Babe Ruth,
Babe Ruth.
Michael Jordan.
Sure, he did play baseball.
See, look,
He did play baseball for a while.
that's about the extent of my baseball knowledge. The
But
Cardinals.
Kenji comes back, and people are wondering, like, why did Kenji come back? What's going on? He left this big, huge career for baseball and came back to play for the Japanese leagues.
Right.
And he's kind of like very aloof of why he came back and stuff like that, you know. And he meets this one reporter named Ami, and she's very much like hitting him with hard hitting questions, like, "Why'd you come back? Why aren't you talking to your parents? What happened to your mom?"
Do you know where
Stuff like
Ami's sister is?
where.
I don't know. You know, she used to be in a rock band.
Oh, that wrong person. Not
Puffy Amiyumi.
not Puffy Ami.
Yeah.
But as this is happening, a kaiju attacks suddenly, and we find out that Kenji is actually Ultraman. He's not a very
Right.
good Ultraman,
He's not a very good
but he's
Ultraman.
an Ultraman.
He is not a very good Ultraman.
No, he's not.
He's got some weird attacks that I don't quite know exactly what they are.
I think those were the Ultraman attack. Like those were like pretty accurate, I believe.
I don't know. I've never seen an Ultra Punch.
I mean, it looked cool.
But I do have to tell you, I was waiting for like this hand of mine is burning blue. It tells me to defeat you.
Yeah.
I was waiting for something like that because I was like, every time he does it, like he gets angry and he just bloop, like
I
turns blue.
love I love when he's fighting the monster and like the old woman's like commenting to him like, "Hey, watch what you're doing." You know, the like Ultraman used to be really good at his job. Now he sucks.
Yeah,
Which I thought was funny cuz he was like, "Oh,
yeah,
who cares about, like buildings breaking, collateral damage, stuff like that, We're just going to take out this monster." And we come
yeah.
to find out that Ultraman is not working for the Kaiju Defense Force at all.
No.
Which weren't they called like the S Super Science Squad?
Yeah, yeah. So I really think it's a different group
Okay, okay.
because with them they were the Super Science Defense whatever or whatever that one is like
Yeah.
SDP or whatever
They
it was.
worked with him.
They worked with Ultraman to like protect and move the kaiju along and things like that. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah, I
never
know, yeah,
really
yeah.
like killed them.
Yeah.
Um, and this group it just seems like they're all about like killing them.
Killing the kaiju.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know and it's just kind of weird. I got a question to ask you when we get
Okay.
closer to the end, though, because I don't want
Okay.
to ask you up front, because then you'll be thinking about it the whole time.
Okay.
But yeah, so we had that. This was one part that I did have a question though. Was he back in Japan yet at this point, or because I
Um,
thought he was in America,
I think he was back in Japan.
and then after that, because they had the little part where his dad, we get to see his dad. His
Yeah.
dad's an old man, and he's sitting there, and he's like, Kenji, just come back to Japan. That's what kind of threw me off. I was like, okay, is he in the right area or
I
not?
I think he was in Japan at the time.
Okay,
Because of the because like he's on like an island at one point and he goes into like the city of Japan, like Tokyo or whatever.
yeah,
So yeah, I believe he was in Japan. Like I think he like just probably got back to Japan.
okay,
I'm guessing.
yeah. Well, just the very first kaiju thing. That's what I was confused about when we
Uh
had the
huh.
random one.
Yeah.
So, you know,
No,
I
I
didn't,
get you.
I didn't know. I was like, are kaiju just native to Japan?
I mean, yes, they are. They only show up in Japan.
um, so we do that. We get the interview, everything else. We kind of go through his life. Um,
You find out he's
what's
very cocky and arrogant.
he is like, even with his baseball coach, like he always tells him like, hey, I'm the one that pays your paycheck. Like,
Yeah.
he's very cocky. He doesn't want the help of anybody else or whatever. And in that sense, he's kind of like a mama's boy.
He's
Um,
very there's very much an iron team in
he
his
he
world.
really dotes on stuff with her, even though
Yes.
like this is a part of the movie that I question a
Well, the
lot.
thing is, like, from what I gathered,
Yeah,
his mom was there for him. Like, I think his mom took him to America.
I don't know. I thought he went there by himself.
See, that's what I gathered. Like, his mom was there for him, and his dad wasn't because his dad was too busy with doing Ultraman stuff.
Yeah, and maybe that's what it was. Because I know his dad tried to reach out like multiple times, and he just kind of ignored that.
Yeah, he ignores
Which,
him because he was never there. He was never there for the important stuff. He was never
yeah,
there for the baseball games or anything like that, you know.
right.
But his mom was.
That he knows of.
I
Uh,
mean, that he knows of, yeah.
but and then like even afterwards, like when he started doing that, she'd call and leave him messages and things like that. I think at that point he already kind of like hurt his dad, where his dad didn't want to reach out, and then his dad with old age kind of like understood more, like,
Yeah.
hey, I want us to still be a family, but I understand more so like why stuff happened the way that it did.
Yeah, and I mean, very much like Japanese culture, you know,
Yeah,
you have like the absentee father a lot of times
yeah,
because like the fathers have to work and stuff like that, and usually
yeah.
the moms
Well,
are
and
around.
and most of this it's even more so than that. It's because you have a superhero parent.
Yeah,
Like if we look at like Sky High, I mean, like his parents were around, but they weren't always around.
yeah,
Like in anything they did, it had to be super.
hmm
So I mean, I think that's a really good theme too, especially for like quote unquote like a superhero movie. Is like you have to have this time, and you can't really, if you're the hero, you can't really do that if you're defending people. Try and actually
you
be a parent.
you very much need balance in your life,
Right,
like we learn in this movie.
right.
You have to balance your hobbies with being a parent,
Ooh,
work.
let me throw this out to you then.
Okay,
So, based off of like what with Japanese culture and
uh
everything,
huh.
and how like that, do you think there could be an American Ultraman,
Maybe.
like, and have a stable relationship with like,
Like
because
Spider-Man has a stable relationship.
I don't think Spider-Man has a stable relationship though.
He does in the Ultimate Universe at the moment.
As far as you know,
I, I mean, maybe I don't know. I would be interesting to see like an American Ultraman.
I was just thinking like. that, and since like most people, like we know Japanese culture and where Ultraman originates from, and like whether it would be a female Ultraman or whatever, like they usually stand by their person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I understand that you're this or whatever, but here I kind of feel like either you would be outed real fast, like after they got tired of your BS, or they'd hold it over your head, or something like that. You know, there wouldn't be like an
Yeah.
honor behind being like a superhero.
I don't know, because I mean, superheroes don't really exist in real life.
Hey, buddy, you're a
So
superhero. What are you talking
I
about?
am a superhero.
Yeah, you're a super dad.
Super Otaku Mike.
Super Otaku Mike Laser Go.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's really interesting to see like how Kenji reacts to his father and stuff like that. And we move on. We move on when we find out that Kenji starts to play baseball. He ends up hurting his shoulder, and he doesn't really do so well
It's
at
his right shoulder.
his right shoulder. Yeah, he hurts it, and he hurts it practicing. Funny enough,
Right,
in his ultra house,
right.
or there's ultra secret layer, whatever you want to call it,
His bat cave.
his ultra cave,
Yeah. What
and
was what was in the drawer underneath the couch?
it was like some kind of drink. It's like a
Okay,
refrigerator type of thing.
because every time he pulled that out, you know, he gets later on where there's just the one that's in there. I'm
Yeah.
like, why didn't he have that stocked? Like, what the fuck?
Well, it was stocked at the beginning, but he
Yeah.
keeps going back to it. And at one point, the robot woman, forget what her name is, the robot bald computer thing.
Yeah.
Was it Mina or me? I forget what her name
That
was.
sounds that sounds right. Yeah. Nina?
Mina.
Yeah.
Um, she replaces it with like I think like coconut water or something like that
Oh.
because he's so low key. I feel like Kenji might have been an alcoholic at one point within this movie
Okay. And they
because
just never like let us know that.
he drinks a lot in this movie.
See, and I never noticed that.
At the beginning, he drinks a lot in this movie until he gets to like the midpoint when he starts drinking like coconut water or whatever it was.
See, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, but
So it could have been beer or something. Yeah.
yeah, it was probably beer because he
Um.
drinks like gin or rum or something a lot. It looked like in like glasses and stuff.
Yeah, and we see
Uh,
him go out and eat a couple times. I bet he'd have something around that we would know that.
yeah,
I never paid attention to that or what he was eating unless he said it. So I was like, I don't
yeah.
know.
But
Um,
go ahead.
I love the references in this too, though. Like as we move forward with him and Mina,
Yeah,
Mina's relationship, like on top of whatever, because she's been around him like his whole life.
it's very much like a mother relationship.
Yeah, yeah. See, and I thought there was going to be something there, like she was either like his mom, like going through the robot,
Uh huh.
or like her mom had somehow like uploaded enough of like
Yeah,
her
like
personality into the robot.
what I took away from it is probably like his dad modeled the robot after his mom
Yeah.
to look
Well, I'm
after.
not sure on that because they also, you know, he said at one point he's like, you know, didn't mom and dad upload enough like kaiju information into you or whatever?
Yeah,
So I don't know.
yeah,
But they have a really like nice relationship between the two of them too. Because
yeah,
I like at the one point where he threatens her and he goes, well, why don't you have any of this information I need? Like, you know, like what am I supposed to do? And he goes, I'll just go ask Siri. Like he threatens her, and I was like, oh, he's
oh,
gonna
oh,
go ask Siri. Oh,
oh no.
that's there's some fighting words right there,
No,
buddy.
that part was really funny. Like
Yeah,
their banter was really funny.
yeah.
I liked it a lot.
Um, but he has that he has gotten into a couple of the different monster fights, trying to like help people, but he half-ass it, or
Yeah,
he'll get tired like halfway through and be like, "I'll let the other guys like do it," you know.
yeah,
And his seems more like it's based on like his transformation seems like it's more based on like his emotions.
yeah.
Um,
He has to keep his emotions in check.
because if not, it almost seems like the Ben 10 Omnitrix where it times out.
Well,
His little chest thing like starts glowing red, and it's like boop, 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 boop.
if I remember correctly, that was in the original Ultraman series.
Okay,
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen anything where they've had to do that.
it was something like that. Where like if you didn't keep your emotions in check, like you would like time out really fast.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't know which
yeah,
one it was in, but it was in because this one references a lot of the different like TV shows.
yeah. Ultraman Taro,
Oh, yeah,
Ultraman Ultra. I don't know. But he does that. You know, they get in another fight where there is kind of this metal ball that is getting carried by these helicopters. We find out that the what's the group called?
the Kaiju Defense Force, the KDF.
Okay, I almost called them the KGB, and I was like, that is not right.
I wanted to call him KFC earlier for some reason. I don't know why.
Ah, hey, buddy, because the creature that was in it looked like a chicken,
Oh yeah, it was like Gigantor or whatever his name is.
Giganton.
Giganton. Yeah, it was like a big bad of the Ultraman
Don't
creatures.
ask me the first one, but I know that one
Yeah.
because the first time I screwed up because I thought they kept saying Gigaton, and I was like, is this supposed to be a play on like uh the three-headed dragon from
Uh-huh.
Godzilla?
Oh, Ghidra.
Yeah, and I was like, wait, that's not the right name. Like, what's
Well, a
going
lot of
on?
the original Ultraman, they did reuse suits from Godzilla.
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah, because Gigaton looks like Rodan, kind of.
yeah,
So I mean, I totally understand that.
yeah,
Um, but we have that where Gigaton tries to like go and attack these things. He tries to do it. Um, I think it ends up basically like hitting one of the planes, and they drop the ball
yeah.
literally.
And
And
Ultraman goes to grab it.
yeah, Ultraman goes and gets it, and all this other jazz, and
He
uh,
finds out that uh, Gigaton is actually trying to protect the ball,
yeah,
and he actually goes and stops, like, or tries to stop the defense force from like hurting Gigaton,
yeah,
which Gigaton dies,
quote
which
unquote,
quote unquote dies,
yeah.
and we
Wink,
find out what's in the ball is a kaiju egg.
a kaiju baby.
A kaiju, it's a kaiju baby,
Yeah,
and it was Gigaton's baby. And Kenji's like, "What am I gonna do with this?" So what does he
right,
do? He brings it home.
right. Sets it down.
What
Has to
did?
find out a
Let me ask
containment
you,
unit to put it in, and
what did you think of the reveal of the kaiju baby?
um, nothing really, because I've seen the trailer for this like a million times.
I was honestly a little surprised because I
That
hadn't.
it was chibi.
Yeah, like I didn't see the trailers beforehand.
Oh yeah, I
I
saw
started
trailers and
I started to pick up on it um when the monster was reacting to it.
oh yeah,
I was like, oh, this is probably like the kaiju's like mom or something like that, you know?
yeah,
Eh,
yeah.
yeah,
Um, so I kind of already had that when I knew, like, I was like, oh well, the baby's got to be in that thing,
uh huh,
and that thing's trying to go after it. It either is that or there's because they don't exactly look closely alike.
No, they don't.
And I was like, okay, well then, like that thing's got to basically be like that, or maybe the baby has like a power to like call other kaiju, and this
Yeah.
was the one that was taking care of it at that time.
Yeah.
So, which is kind of another weird thing of why, like, because let's just jump forward a little bit. Like
Okay.
the overall scheme of this was they wanted the defense force wanted the baby to try and find Kaiju Island,
Yes.
and my whole thing was why did Gigaton have the baby somewhere that wasn't Kaiju Island?
Well, maybe they possibly found it, you know.
Yeah.
They
Well,
found they
see,
found the egg.
yeah, but then they didn't know where Kaiju Island was still.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? Like,
No, I get it.
you know, um, so it just that part kind of made it a little weird. I feel like,
Yeah, and
um,
because they also wanted to kill all the kaiju.
yeah. So I mean, it was kind of like to me the equivalent of like the Kong Godzilla universe. It was kind of like Skull Island. Like that's where all the kaiju kind of were and things
Yeah.
like that, or these other monsters that you didn't exactly know, and they were all kind of on this island, and that's where they were supposed to stay.
Yeah.
Um, so we do that. We take the kaiju home. You know, it eats fish, so he buys beer. He catches a lot of fish. Um,
He
he's
tries
just
he tries to teach the kaiju.
yeah,
I love
tries to like
that.
teach it different things,
Yeah.
like you know, has to clean its poo. Like that was probably one of the things that seemed like really like parent to me was like where he was trying to like rock it to sleep and clean up its messes and then do all this,
Yeah,
and he
no, I
had to
get it.
kind of keep jostling and then go to his job.
Yeah, and spending time with her,
Yeah,
stuff
so
like
I
that,
mean, it was a lot of stuff without actually doing a lot of stuff
Yeah,
because
we get a very nice montage.
yeah, and he left her in the capsule most of the
Yeah.
time. So
With the robot and the TV.
yeah. So
Yeah.
then uh Ami,
Emmy.
right? Emmy,
Emmy.
not Emmy. What's the reporter's name?
Ami.
Ami. So
Yeah.
he calls Ami to get some advice because in one interview he knows that she has a daughter that
Yeah.
is a big Ultraman fan.
Hmm.
Um and so he calls her up because he's like, you're the only person that'll talk to me. I don't have anybody else. Can I steal some of your time? And he kind of, without really telling her that he's like being a parent, kind of asking her questions about being a parent.
Oh, she thinks he has a secret love child.
Yes. Well, she asked him that.
Yeah.
He kind of glazes over it.
He's like,
So,
no, I don't have a secret love child.
yeah. Um, and he gets tired and falls asleep. And after he makes this deal with her and everything else for another interview. Um, and then he goes back to like how he hurt his shoulder before. He tries to um, practice baseball,
Yes.
which we had a game a little bit before this where he played, and it was really, I think, kind of a cool moment because he's been batting right the whole time, and he
Uh,
swaps over to the left,
yeah.
and we kind of have that really cool moment where he actually makes contact with the ball and he wins, and you're like, oh my god, and
Yeah,
everybody's like, that's unheard of.
he like pitch hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, well, so he goes to try and practice and do all that, and Emmy, which is the baby kaiju, starts learning from him, and she actually
She likes
tries.
baseball.
Yeah, she actually tries doing that. Um, and she watches his old games. She does all this. I mean, like, it's really, really cool. I have to say.
Yeah, it was a little cute. It was a cute moment.
And then we grow more into him being a dad, kind of, sort
Yes. And that was
of.
very much the most relatable thing.
Yes.
I feel
Well, and
like.
then you just knew because everything was fine and everything like kind of like leveled itself out. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like everything in life started going better for him. All this other stuff. It really makes me think about just some people when they complain about people that have kids and whatnot, like uh, and they complain about my life's shitty, and it's like yeah, and they just don't understand like teaching like a kid or whatever, and sometimes like that's a big impression on you already. Like you've been through stuff when you have a kid
Yeah.
versus like complaining about like, oh, well, I had money for this or whatever, but did you have to also do that with kid?
And the
Like,
thing is, like,
yeah,
you never stop being a parent.
right,
Even when they're like grown and whatnot, like you never stop being a parent.
right. So, I mean, I think this was just a really good depiction of that movie, especially like even like I'd probably try and get some of my friends that are like, I'm never going to be a parent, to watch this and be like, but you see now,
It definitely tugged at my heartstrings
yeah.
when like they were teaching them how to play baseball and stuff. And then
And
like go ahead.
and I like too, like just in this little moment
Hmm.
where little things we see actually play towards the end of the movie, which the baseball comes back.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And then eventually we transition from that to Kenji has his interview with Ami. And as this is going on, Emmy breaks out of the house.
Why does Emmy break out of the house though?
Is it because is it she has like irritable bowel syndrome or something? Or
No, she eats her fish too fast, and
oh yeah, and she gets
it gives her
sick.
acid reflex.
Acid reflux. Yeah, I love the little detail that she uses a full grown car as like a stuffed animal
Yeah,
or like
yeah,
like something to cuddle with. Because
yeah,
I didn't pick up on it at first that the cars in like the Ultra Cave were like real cars.
yeah.
I don't know why, but it was that was funny.
Well, I like where she's like, and like if you're a parent, like if your kid gets sick and like they're throwing up or whatever, like they cry. So
Hmm.
she's got the crying going on, and she does like the hiccup, and it's like at any point this could be like a thing for a parent where your kid's like throwing up, like they
Yeah,
got
but she's
something with
shooting
that.
laser blasts.
She's shooting laser blasts, and you're like, what?
It's like, ooh, I'm glad my kid doesn't have laser
Oh
blasts.
my gosh, right? Imagine being a parent, like a normal parent to a superhero. Oh
Oh
gosh.
god. But yeah,
So
she
laser
gets
eyes.
out. She gets out, and Kenji sees this, and the KDF see it too. And there's a battle for Emmy, and Emmy unfortunately breaks her arm in the scuffle with the KDF, which was so sad to see. And who does Kenji have to call? But he has to call Ultra Daddy.
Ultra
Ultra
Daddy.
Daddy has to show up, and uh, Kenji's like, "Look, this is what's going on. We're just gonna take care of her. She's the main priority. We'll work on us later."
Yeah.
And I love his interactions with Emmy. Like they're so fun. Like he would use the
Yeah.
same tactics he did on Kenji with her,
Yeah.
trying to
And
like
I mean
fix
it
it.
and I mean the other good thing is he's totally like you can tell he's like the grandpa.
He's totally in grandpa mode when he shows up.
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean like I'd say the combination between like a zookeeper and a grandpa. Like that's
Yeah.
exactly how he is.
And they end up like working together, rebuilding their relationship and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and they end up teaching Emmy about how to run away from the bad guys, what she needs to do, stuff like that. Help build her up, train her, like
Yeah.
show her different tactics and stuff.
And then she gets where she metamorphosizes.
Oh yeah, but that's after. they go to like I think their original house or something.
No, she metamorphosizes first, and then they
Okay.
get her and take her to the house.
Okay. Well, what happens next?
After they take her to the house,
Yeah. After all that,
they start trying to talk about that, and no, you're right. Never mind. They do take her to the house because then they start playing baseball.
Yeah.
So like all that effort and stuff does like come back. Um, they get to play on this private island and everything else, and then she metamorphosizes, and Kenji and uh, Ultra Papa end up talking about like what happened and the life and everything.
We find out
And
that Ultra Daddy never stopped looking for his Ultra wife,
yeah,
and they have like a
the
nice
the real
moment.
Emmy.
Yeah, the real Emmy.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we get more of like the where he wasn't so much of a shitty dad. Like,
Mm-hmm.
even though like when he fell back into the house and he broke it, like he used his little ultra shield power to put over Kenji and Ultra Wife, or Ultra Mom or whatever, and he took like a direct blast from one of the kaiju's that he was fighting in his back.
Was that how
Um,
he got hurt?
I think so.
Okay.
I think that's how he got hurt. Probably. I don't think that's what took him out of commission, but I think that's why he has like old man pains now because of part of that
Okay.
stuff. Um, but he goes with that. They figure out, and the thing starts breaking because they hear a noise,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a like a kaiju cry, and it ends up basically like waking Emmy up out of her egg,
Yeah.
and it looks like because they call it Mega, right? Or
I think
Mecha.
Mecca.
They call it Mecha Gigaton,
Yeah.
and I mean, it looks exactly like it. This
Because it
big,
is Gigaton.
right? They basically took like all these like robotic parts and stuff, and basically like fitted on like a
like
suit
armor
of armor,
almost.
yeah,
Yeah.
on top of it, and
Very
then the
much like
real,
very much like Mecha Godzilla in a sense.
yes, um, the real one was on the inside though, and so it could still use the laser blast, it could still do all this other stuff, but it was inside the armor, and they were controlling it.
Which originally I think they thought it was just a robot, but then it was revealed that no,
Yeah,
it's actually Gigaton.
yeah, um,
That reveals, I was like, oh my god, because I thought that Gigaton was dead.
yeah,
I really did.
yeah. Well, and I caught the first little bit that he did, which was kind of weird. Which he never got to use the attack, which so I was a little upset about that. But they do that, and Emmy hatches out of the thing, and now she looks the same, but she's got wings,
Yeah.
and she starts flying over to Mecha Gigaton, thinking like, "Oh, hey,
That's my mom.
um,
That's my mom.
yeah." And then there's another plane there that actually shoots missiles at Kenji and uh, Ultra Papa,
Yeah.
and
Ultra Daddy gets hurt.
yeah, he gets hurt. He's pretty sure like something like bad really happened because he did have like a little bit of a. They had like a attack earlier where he got
Yeah.
hurt, but then this missile thing like took out part of the house, like.
Yeah.
And Kenji gets mad, like hulks out, goes on the defensive, like goes and tracks down Mecha Gigaton, starts beating the shit out of it, and then he rips off like one of the little shoulder panels, and come to find out that regular Gigaton is underneath the metal.
Yes. And still
Um,
and still alive and reacting to everything.
yeah. So then Emmy kind of does her little like call, and it shakes Mama Gigaton out of whatever trance that they kind of had her in, and parts of the armor fall off, so you can
Yeah.
kind of see her better. Um, which I kind of like that. That was one of the things I felt it was more like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse
Yeah.
was uh, when Kenji got mad. They kind of did that part where it focused,
Mm-hmm.
and like then you kind of get like that flashing light thing where it's like red and black around him,
Yeah.
and then he takes off, and you get to see like the rush of color come back. Um,
Oh, that was really cool.
yeah, they did that, and they did it with his dad when his dad transformed too.
Yeah.
Um, so he does that. You find out, everything else. Like he thinks his dad's dead. All this other stuff. He gets knocked out and um, is fighting, and then Kenji ends up like his transmitter thing or whatever goes off, and he turns
Yeah.
back into Kenji instead of Ultraman.
But then, out of nowhere, Ultra Daddy shows up to save Kenji's life.
And he says, "I'll always protect you."
I'll always protect you. And I love this scene where he goes back into Ultraman. Like we find out about like the balance and stuff like that. And
With both
you
of
know,
them together.
with both of them together, yeah.
Okay, before we go into that,
Okay.
I just want to bring one more thing up. Did you think it's hilarious that Ultra Daddy's outfit was related to what he actually looked like?
Yes. And he had a mustache.
Yeah, he had a mustache and he was
Yeah.
short. He was short, and like where he was plump as an old man, he was plump as
Oh no,
Ultraman, and that I laughed so hard.
I thought that was a really good touch.
I was like, "Well, I'm glad there's not an Ultra Grandpa too, because that could look really weird."
I mean, technically, he is a grandpa.
I mean, like a real grandpa, like his dad.
Yeah.
Like what if he had a big bushy beard? Now we got an Ultraman with like a big like metal frame that comes down
No,
as like his.
I love that scene. I love that scene when he transforms. It very much reminded me of like the old Ultraman because it looked like a guy in a suit.
Yeah,
That's what it looked like to me, and I really liked it. I was very surprised. I wasn't expecting him to show back up, to be honest.
yeah,
And we get this cool team up between the Kaiju and the Ultramen, and they go to fight the leader of the KDF, and we find out that his family was killed in a Kaiju attack, and that's why he hates all Kaiju,
yeah.
and he doesn't like Ultraman and stuff like that.
He does not.
He does not. We get this really cool knockout, drag out fight between the Ultraman and this big, giant, hulking robot and the Kaiju. Like, I love this fight. This fight was so good.
I agree. I 100% enjoyed this as well. Um, I I just really like this fight, like
Yeah.
especially like with both of them, and you kind of almost had like the father son Kamehameha wave moment or
But it was the
Kamehameha.
Ultra Beam or whatever it's called.
Yeah, and it was really cool because like this big. I mean, I almost felt like it was like a Gundam or like a Pacific Rim like suit. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Um, like the guy was in there for that, and like Ultraman's left arm gets hurt. So not the right one this time,
His
the
leg gets
left
hurt
one.
too.
Well, Ultra Daddy's leg gets
Yeah,
hurt.
Ultra Dad's leg gets hurt.
So, he ends up holding his arm up, and I think he's trying to like maybe like just trying to stop himself. And Ultra Dad kind of jumps over, and they make
Yes.
the plus sign,
Yeah.
and it shoots out the beam at the guy, and he's like, oh, and he kind of starts walking forward. Now their beam is blue, and then
Yeah.
Emmy has a kind of pinkish beam,
Hmm.
and then uh, Gigaton has a
Like
green beam.
green.
So they all kind of hit it at, and you just kind of see this energy wave kind of waft off of this thing that's like this
Yes.
neon color wave off of the
It was very
shield.
much a colorful movie.
Oh, it was. Of course, he pulled out the random sword, which is what he got
Oh, and
KG in the shoulder
and
with
he
to begin
like
with.
goes and like tries to cut Kenji with it. Kenji like snaps the sword in half. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, I was like, where? How was all this on that ship? Um,
Yeah.
so he does that. Everything else,
They
they end up
defeat the robot.
yeah, they end up defeating him. It falls over into the ocean, and the guy decides, like, hey, I'm just going to self destruct it. And it's going to basically it's going to kill everything around it,
It's like, if I can't have the kaiju, nobody can.
right? And he disregards like everybody else around him,
Yeah.
like because we see that the reporter and her mom and her daughter are caught in traffic, and that Ultraman falls over into traffic and actually sees them, and he's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. So like he knows like the people that he needs to protect, and this is where you kind of know more so how much Kenji, like, because dad keeps telling him like, get out of the way, you
Yeah.
won't survive that.
He very much sacrifices himself for the greater good.
Right. Which, so what I said at the beginning, this is what I want to bring back up now.
Okay. What do you want to bring up?
100%. Do we know if the guy's wife and daughter died?
I want to say yeah.
Because my question to
Are you
you,
saying that Emmy is his daughter?
yes.
Okay.
Because I was sitting there like, well, he's going to do this. He's going to take him out. And I was like, okay, well, what if Ultraman like pulls him out of it and somehow still saves him on top of it? Now, I don't think he did,
No.
but I'm wondering if Emmy was really his daughter, and there's something that just maybe it spills over to us not knowing. Maybe he did survive, and they didn't show us for a movie too,
That's a very good
or something like
question.
that. Because she has her mom, she
Uh-huh.
doesn't have a dad, and obviously, like, she's got her daughter, but we don't ever get any other references to her having another parent, whether they died, anything else. That's what I was wondering is maybe they thought that when that happened that he disappeared
Maybe that's possible.
and they've just lived on, or maybe they thought he was just so psychotic on getting this revenge that there was never a chance for them to kind of come
Well,
back to it.
he said that they died. So
Yeah,
maybe he thought that they died, but they actually didn't die.
but I mean, we also thought that about Kenji's mom, so
True. I don't know. I mean, that's a good theory. It's not a bad theory, I have to say.
yeah.
But yeah, they save the day. Everybody's okay. I don't know if the bad guy's dead or not. Um,
I don't think anybody knows that.
and then we end up, they end up repairing their relationship and stuff like that. Kenji, uh, Kenji changes and whatnot, and he's like takes his team to the championship. He's very much turned over a new leaf,
Yeah,
and
his
he's
team
very
takes him to the championship
yeah. His team takes him to the championship. That's what it is.
because
Because
now he actually has a cast on his left arm.
he doesn't take credit for it, but says it was the team's hard work and determination
Right.
that takes him to the championship.
So that was even more so that we saw
Yeah,
where he was getting out of this cycle.
yeah, which is fun to see. Because honestly, he was a big asshole at the beginning of the movie,
Yeah.
a huge asshole.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we finally get to see them take the kaiju back to Kaiju Island. It's very sad to see them go. Kenji has to be away from his baby, but it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. Which that's a really interesting place to end the movie on. I feel like it very much
Yeah.
is a happy ending. But you think maybe the kaiju would want to stick around a little bit? I don't know.
That the kaiju would want to stick around with them?
Yeah,
Nah, I don't think so. Maybe they just go somewhere and lay their eggs somewhere, and then they try and take them back after they hatch to Kaiju
maybe,
Island.
maybe. And then we get the stinger. The stinger at the end. We find out
We
that
find out.
Kenji's mom is actually still alive and she's on the Ultraman planet. It was like Nebula something. I don't remember what it was called.
I think it was Nebula 23.
Was it?
maybe.
And that's how this movie ends.
Yeah,
What did you think of this movie?
it was good.
I
I can't wait till a second one comes
oh I
out
will. I there needs to be a second one.
because
They
they
can't
lined
leave
it
us
up
with
like
that
that.
cliffhanger.
But I just hope it doesn't take like 6 months to a year for us to get it.
I know. This movie really, really pleasantly surprised me. Now I love Ultraman. I think Ultraman's fun.
Yeah,
I like the manga stuff like that. I was pleasantly surprised because one, this was a lot of this was directed by like American
yeah,
like and directors and stuff like that. It was like American adaptation, whatever. But to see how faithful they were to Ultraman and how much influence the Ultraman series as a whole had on them, and they put back into the show,
yeah.
like it is a freaking love letter to Ultraman. A
Right.
love letter. Like you can go back and look at different references they make and stuff like that. It was beautifully animated. I had my reservations when I was like, oh man, it's 3D CG. It's gonna be like that Ultraman show that covers the manga. Because that 3D CG was terrible. Terrible.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that. We
That
don't
never existed.
but this one is very, very stylized, and I think that works in its favor
Yeah.
for being 3D CG.
Well, and I think they make it too in such a way like um how everything is offset, everything's pretty unique. Like Ultra Dad's pretty unique to his
Yeah.
design. Like every character that is in this is unique to their own design.
Hmm.
Um, the only ones are like the people that actually don't like matter
Yeah.
are the only ones that kind of have that same design scheme or whatever, and even them sometimes look unique. Um, but it was real nice. I mean, it was all compact in like a one package, and like everything else. I think like art wise, everything else, like it was designed really nice.
Yeah. It was very nice. Beautiful character design.
Yeah,
The animation was on point.
yeah. The
Like what?
storytelling was on point.
Yeah. I honestly I give this like a 5 out of 5.
I'd go 5 out of 5 as well.
It really hit me in a good spot. Like it gave a good message. It was all
Yeah,
about family, fatherhood, stuff like that.
yeah.
It was
And I think everything was laid out in the right places as well.
yeah,
Because sometimes some things feel forced, and this really felt all organic.
yeah. No, it did not feel forced at all. I feel like
So, but yeah,
yeah. No, I was pleasantly surprised.
me,
Like I really wanted to watch it because I heard good things about it, but I didn't expect it to be this good.
yeah,
Like I was like, oh, here's another Ultraman show. And then I was like, doing and one thing it did, I think feel like it does very well, is it's very like new viewer friendly.
yeah.
Like if you're coming into Ultraman, like you don't really need to know anything about Ultraman in this movie
Well, and
to enjoy it.
I also think that it was built enough, like almost like a DreamWorks movie, that there were some adult things in it, but there were also a lot of things just for kids.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I feel it's very much like a good all ages movie for parents and kids.
Yeah,
Like it was that good. Like I sat down and watched it with my daughter, and she enjoyed it.
yeah.
She watched it already before me, and I didn't know that. I was like, "Hey, you want to come watch this?" She's like, "Why are you watching Ultraman?" I was like, "How do you know about Ultraman?" She's like, "Oh, I watched it at camp." I was like, "They
Oh
let you watch
goodness,
Ultraman at camp?
that's crazy.
What? And you
Yeah,
didn't tell me about it?"
right. That's
She
funny.
was, she was like, "I didn't know you liked Ultraman." I was like, ah,
Say it ain't so, dear child.
say it. So, what have I been not teaching you?
Right.
But yeah,
But this was an excellent show. I
yeah,
think everybody should watch it, give it a try, whatever. Like, for fans of the Ultraman genre, for fans that just need something to get away and, that aren't like Ultraman crazy, or on the Kaiju train. Just, it was a cute movie in general.
yeah, yeah. It was a very
So,
good feel good movie. It's
but
what?
that was it.
Oh, that was it. That was it.
Yeah.
End of the
But
show.
yeah, end of the show. We got to ask you to hit the road.
Hit the road. We'll see you next Tuesday.
See you next
We
Tuesday.
got to figure out something else to cover.
We do. We got two things already down the bat. We got it.
Okay. Okay.
So, guys, stay tuned for what mine and Otaku Mike's picks are for us to cover.
But we'll catch you guys next time. Remember to rate and review the podcast.
Right? See you
Leave
next
us
Tuesday.
leave us feedback on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And we'll catch you guys on the next podcast. Stay safe. Go watch some Ultraman.